Well, I can
This
hold it.
meeting is being recorded.
Just come from the DNR, Chris, you poised them.
That is the, it is actually 3 different versions of a recommendation on how to design range
From
Canadians,
Canadian National.
Department of Energy.
Okay.
So
It's payment.
I don't know, the DNR one I found in a different place in the computer, so I just thought
So, yeah, he was just.
if you were interested, I'd give them all.
Yep.
Okay,
I was
for
gonna get to that.
country jams or something.
So, yes.
Yeah, he was really.
Recorded this time.
All in order. Pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Notification of compliance with open meeting law.
Yep, posted on Dorn on our website. I will mention that there was a correction to the agenda that I posted today. It wasn't substantial. It was just a name I got on the second page, but I did repost it later today.
Thank you. Roll call.
Brophy,
Yes.
Kaczynski,
Yes.
Bowles, Schaefer is not here. We got Kraus,
Yes.
White,
Here.
and Tofa.
Yeah. Other than what you just mentioned, any other changes?
Nope.
Approval of the minutes, regular board of trustees, June 9th, 2025.
Motion to approve.
Second. Moved in second to approve the previous board minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Public comment? I think we're all on the agenda, aren't we?
Well, maybe not. Jonette, Sue, did you have a topic that you wanted to speak on?
Yeah, the article that was in the paper about the bump outs,
Yes.
the whole idea is ridiculous and it's a waste of money.
Okay.
Personally. All you have to do is take away the last 2 parking spaces on each of the streets. Color them yellow, saying no parking in those 2 spots. I mean, because that's the main cross for me, living on LaSalle Street. I take that corner all the time. And yes, it is a dangerous corner. But to do those bump outs isn't going to help any. It's going to back up traffic. And if you take that corner at all in the morning going to school, when the train's coming through, holy buckets, traffic is backed up for blocks. Those bump outs is not going to help. If you just if you just color the corners yellow, saying no parking in those last 2 spots, it's clear, you can see. And that eliminates the problem. And then I had a question about closing Park Street. I know it's the railroad that's coming up with this bright idea. And the concern was because of the gate and people taking a right-hand turn. So why don't we just eliminate the right-hand turn? Not that complicated.
Yeah, that would be a great suggestion if the railroad were open to it. And it's actually not the railroad, it's OCR, which is the safety division of the state that regulates railroads. They're the ones that set the safety guidelines for those intersections. And they're the ones that said we have to prevent traffic on and off of Park Street from both directions, which is basically means we have to close that intersection.
Well, do you realize how that's gonna really muck up traffic on LaSalle Street?
Yeah.
We do.
And
Let's see 100%.
in the alley behind Nuts is gonna get a really dangerous spot.
Yeah, we've been through that.
So then therefore,
Right.
all the parking spots on South Street need to be no more parking. And then also on Clark Street, the two parking spots on both sides, because coming from the north to Clark Street, you can't see until you're halfway out, just like on going north. You can't see until you're halfway in the intersection. So my suggestion is, I know you can get censored, time censored, or car censored stop and go lights. Why don't they put up a censored stop and go light? So that if there's cars coming from on the South Street, hey, guys on Clark's gotta stop, you know? But it's not like 5 minutes here, and then we'll let traffic go, and then 5 more minutes, and then traffic can go. You don't need something like that. You need a sensor.
There's actually a part of the agenda where we'll talk about that a little bit. But again, basically DOT is the one that decides if the lights are warranted at that intersection. And at this time, they've said lights are not warranted at that intersection.
With all the accidents that are there,
Sean will actually be presenting his report on accidents. And as many as there have been, they don't trip the DOT's threshold to say lights are warranted.
Even though that's a state highway?
Because it's a state highway, DOT gets to say whether or not there's lights there.
Okay.
And they're saying, based on the car counts and the accidents, that it's not warranted.
Statistical support is not
Yes, sir.
there.
Go ahead.
And then,
I'm sorry.
because even in my days, the same problem, right, the same actions, all that stuff. You find out that there's a lot of near misses, of course, and they're unaccounted for. But when you do have one, it's a good one. Talk about accidents. But the amount of them are very, very few. And that's one of the reasons that it's not doing anything for us. And statistically, it's not really there. To prove that, you have 1 a month, 2 a month, it's 1 or 2 a year. And not that that isn't important, because we don't even want that. It's not that. And the car count comes up, it's an enormous amount of cars per hour. I thought that they had requested, and as Chris said, we'll discuss that later. Those numbers, because it's freak on that.
Go ahead, Joe.
Sorry. Then in addition to all these changes on the street, how is that gonna affect semi-traffic? Because as you know, on the South Street, it's just nuts, and there's kids on that street.
In the morning, nothing.
I mean, there's enough semi-traffic already, and today with them doing work on the crossing, of course, people couldn't go east on Clark, so they're all coming down LaSalle Street, and it's like, and they don't care. It's like someone's gonna get hurt. Kids are kids, they don't always pay attention to.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I know you spoke against the bump outs. One of the things the bump outs is actually for, from the DOT's perspective, is pedestrian safety. Because as you bump the curb out into the roadway, you reduce the amount of area that people are exposed to traffic when they're crossing the road.
Well, that's not where the problem is. It's down the street, like, because right across the street from me is the cold storage. Well, just the half a block up, there's kids. Half a block down, there's kids. They're walking to and from school. And when they're on their bikes and stuff, they just go. They don't care. The semi drivers, they're pretty safe. I have to give them credit. But with the increased traffic that's going to be, it's like, is there any way we can not have them on that street?
Unfortunately, we've picked LaSalle as our preferred route for kids to walk to school.
No, I meant the semis.
Oh, the semis. Currently, semis are prohibited on Parks or on LaSalle Street. They are allowed to go to cold storage for that business, but LaSalle is not a truck route, an official truck route.
Well, they go it all the day long.
They
There's signs, but
Yeah, I know it's posted, but they They just go.
Don't get me started. As far as the. Remember the Google Maps tells me go. Yeah. Yeah.
So what you're saying is not new to us. We've hashed this thing over for months. And we're not getting anywhere. A good example, somebody said, well, let's take him to court. Well, Town of Unity, they want to have some streets closed up there. They're fighting that for 6 years. So communities are not going to win. So,
Typical.
but, we hear you, we agree with you, we talked about that. We want something done at the intersection, state won't do it. We want this done at the intersection up here. OCR says no, our hands are kind of tied. As much as we hate to say that, but at this point, we're looking at all the options. Once the intersection does close at the railroad, where the road's gonna be, what's gonna happen to the alley, what's gonna happen to this parking lot, so on and so forth. It's in the discussion phase. I mean, we're just trying to do everything possible, but we do that by the railroad, creates a problem down here. But we do hear you, and we do agree with you,
Has no leg to stand on per se.
basically.
Yeah, I mean,
Texas.
we're lucky we're included in discussions.
How generous of them.
Just wanna, I hate to see the accidents, but I would like to see a four-way stop, and you have no control over that. But 16 parking places around my place at $40 a ticket is $640 a day. I'd like to see something different than that. Because there is no city parking lot. People are gonna walk. When we are busy, right next to Brothers, that's full. So losing 16 parking places is potentially a lot of money.
I understand that too.
Well, then this might be off the wall, but we have an open lot from when Gross moved out. Anyway, that could be taken over for the city parking.
For 750,000.
Yeah.
Maybe the police department. But
Give her 40.
I do see some people parking in there. So,
Yeah.
we're not gonna say they can't, but, until somebody steps in and says, you can't park in our parking lot. There are people who still park over there, but then again, like Dewey said, walking across the street, some people wanna be right there. The businesses,
Also parking, church parking lot. As long as church is going on, can't they?
Oh,
yeah, people aren't gonna walk. At least some gonna walk. The other thing I talked to Chris a while back was, how about taking the terrace away, and moving the cars in? That way you got a wider street and you keep the parking. Terraces are muddy in the first place.
Basically, the opposite of putting the bump outs in would be to reduce the width of the sidewalks there in order to get.
Just take that, sort of that boulevard,
Right.
Shrink it in.
Yeah. Functionally, I don't know how, I mean, you wouldn't want to take more than a couple of feet off of each side, I would imagine.
Well, you could go right up to the sidewalk with curb.
Well, I mean, I guess I'm not quite understanding because the curb already goes up to the.
No, there's a little.
No, there's a.
on the south,
On the south.
Selling.
There's a little,
I apologize.
grass or
there's a little grassy area.
Yeah, I suppose you could potentially. do
Even the
that.
one on, was that Clark? That's an awful wide sidewalk too.
Well, that's what I thought you were talking about was Clark Street, yeah. The interesting thing from my point of view with not growing up here in Spencer is that when we moved here, LaSalle was a truck route and had been a truck route for 30 or 40 years. And the physical road itself hasn't changed in all of that time. So,
Traffic has.
but traffic has, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it was originally designed to accommodate truck traffic. and even at that intersection. But
Oh, it wasn't fun when I started driving
it was always tight. No,
26 years ago.
Yeah.
It was fun.
no doubt.
And just one more thing, like behind the kids group behind me, that's gonna, I don't know how much more traffic you're gonna have there. That's very unsafe, kids out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they-
Yeah, absolutely.
And we gotta kick the trucks down away from that area.
Even car traffic, if Land O'Lakes gets out, that's gonna just be.
Yeah.
How many Land O'Lakes cars go that way?
I don't know if we talked about it specifically, do we, and I mention it every once in a while. I think I get eye rolls from the board sometimes, but I've always imagined that when Park Street gets closed, that alley should become one way. My thought was one way east, so that you'd be able to pull off of LaSalle into the alley, but not out to the alley. In an effort to restrict, the number of cars. That's part of the discussion.
Okay, let's move on.
Any other concerns? Appreciate you putting your information, your questions to the board, and like I said, we've all said we've been hashing this over for months, and we went in the OCR to finally make a final decision, and first of all, we started out with one thing, and then all of a sudden they added a second step to it, and now they added a third step to it with Wisconsin, and we're hanging here and discussing it, and hopefully when that actually happens, we can have a good solution that will be hopefully beneficial for everybody, and we'll just have to see what happens. But again, thank you for coming up and sharing your concerns. Any other concerns from the public?
Did they give you a timeline on that?
Whenever they feel like it.
Well, we haven't actually submitted the petition that the OCR has asked for. So, yeah, the irony is, of course, that OCR is asking us to close the intersection, and then they require us to petition for permission from them to close the intersection. Once we submit that petition, they have a 6-month review process where they take their time to review it. So we haven't submitted it yet, although we are going to budget for next year as if that project was.
Thank you.
I have another concern, but it's streets here.
Go ahead.
Okay, youth baseball is Monday, Tuesdays, sometimes Wednesday and Thursday night. People are parking on LaSalle Street from the railroad track, the second set of railroad tracks, down to past where,
To the north.
almost to where Nall's old house was, on both sides. And on Elm Street, they're parking on both sides. You have a very hard time getting through there. Like, my daughter Trish lives on Elm Street. And to get over there by her, sometimes it's like, you gotta go the long way around. And you shouldn't have to when you live here in town. You know what I'm saying? Is there any way you can put it so that it's only parking on one side of those streets? And also anybody that's going from east to west on Elm Street with all that parking on the south, again, you're halfway in the intersection before you can see if it's safe to go. It's not safe.
Yeah, we can look at restricting parking on both of those.
I know people are not supposed to park in between the tracks.
Right, they're not parking in between the tracks.
Some are, I see.
Okay, I have.
2 or 3 Monday. That's the first night.
Okay, and, now I forgot what I was gonna say.
Oh, sorry.
Interrupt your chain of thought.
Parking on Elm and LaSalle.
South, yeah.
Well, it's the same thing Susie will bring up on, by the school or when they have baseball games.
Yes, same situation.
Yeah.
I went through last week when there was a game and they were all parked there. I said the same thing, maybe these guys can put up signs or something.
Yeah, and then in August, we've got the big Fowler tournament, and that brings in all the people from out of town, not just the kids, you
Yeah.
know? And that's always the third weekend of August, so again, gotta do something for our communities.
Unfortunately, your success as a community booster of the baseball tournament has created a problem, but, you know,
Well, it's a good problem, but it's
It's good
something
right now.
that we gotta do something about.
we gotta do something about the parking inside the parking lot too, cause I can hardly.
They don't know how to,
They don't. I barely could get through one time.
personally, I think people need to learn how to drive.
Come ride with me someday, you'll think it
Hey,
even,
I drive to Medford every day and every day it's like, oh my God, just let me get there.
go there and back every day too.
One day I went out there and I couldn't figure out why, but they were the angled parking on the south fence. Why they angled parked, I have no idea.
Is
Anyway,
the fence is at an angle? Are they going
they were.
the other way? Yeah.
Wrong way.
That's good. Okay, your points are well taken and we're definitely gonna continue looking at all this. I'm glad the Elm Street, LaSalle Street parking on our streets committee and go on from there. Again, thank you. Okay, public comments. We can sit that announcement.
Just that we have a Parks Committee meeting tomorrow
Okay. Sorry.
at 6:30.
Okay. Public Works Report, brief summary of the Public Works Department's activity.
So for June, the wastewater department, we treated 8.4 million gallons of wastewater, submitted our CMAR report, submitted our PFAS, PFOA report on effluent discharges, completed the remaining lift station inspections, annual maintenance on our oxidation disk drives, annual maintenance on the piston grit drive, and also our screw pumps. In an attempt to control our odors, we added more wood chips to our biofilter. And we have also started dosing Aquafix desulfonator. Desulfonator claims it will bind with the sulfur and sulfide and make them inactive. Chris, do you have anything for the water?
John and the rest of the crew working on a water repair this today, so he didn't get his report in.
For Public Works, they survived the week of Spencerama, attended CPR training, installed railroad and ATV signs, dug water main break behind Spencer Kids Group, prepare for asphalt patches, painted parking stalls at the complex, and placed 5 yards of decorative mulch around the complex here and mowed the field for the circus.
Any questions for?
Yeah, on the bills, there was something about some lift or something that you guys fixed down at the plant.
A lift?
Yeah,
Station.
We can wait till we get the voucher to go on, or
well, I just thought.
it's a wastewater?
Yeah. Then the wastewater's.
It's the lift. The oxidation ditch, the gearbox was replaced. That was a big line item. Is that-
Yeah, that was last month or something.
The gearbox or
Yeah.
For the oxidation ditch, the gearbox failed. And we had Crane Engineering Sales, put in.
probably that,
Yeah, it's $16,000.
yeah, it was a big.
Yeah, yeah. They took it off, tore it apart to determine if it could be fixed. It could not be fixed, and so they replaced it with it.
How often do we do that?
Well, we've gone as much as 30 years before replacing. So I'm not exactly sure what if there was a diagnosis as to what caused it.
I don't know if they
Um,
just rebuilt it, right? What happened?
I thought they replaced it.
They replaced it completely?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
But yeah.
That answers that. Okay.
And it's not a budgeted item, obviously, but it is covered by equipment replacement.
Any other questions for the Public Works? Thank you, Trevor. Police chief's report.
The chief attended the village board of trustees meeting. On June 11th, Chief Fowler attended the streets committee meeting. And officers completed emergency vehicle operator course and annual firearms training. We also had a combined training with fire and EMS. During the month of June, officers handled 146 calls for service, issued 14 citations and 1 written warning. The police department would like to remind residents that we'll be checking for nuisance properties and junk vehicles. Village Ordinance 271-6 addresses the maintenance of buildings and property in the village and clarifies obligations to property owners regarding the maintenance of property, building and buildings in the village. The property maintenance ordinance can be found on the village website under the village code of ordinances in the legal section. And what you all been waiting for. The property owner of 506 North LaSalle was notified about the nuisance occurring at his property. I've been working with the property owner to abate the nuisance. The property owner was issued 12 citations and 1 additional one today. Chief and I will be consulting with the village attorney on the next steps to the nuisance and routine vehicle maintenance was. I spoke to the village clerk, or not village clerk, the city court clerk in Marshfield. And they have the same type of ordinances with abating property and stuff like that. But I guess one of the big things that I spoke to her briefly today because she was talking, he's got a court date on Wednesday and he can plead not guilty to it. So basically we have to prove that it's diminishing the value of property in the area, other properties. So it's going to be, I mean, we're going to consult with the village attorney too, and he'll give us more advice, but that's just from talking to the clerk, she only came across this one other time with a property in Marshfield. And that's some of the criteria that the judge wanted to meet was to prove that, hey, we gotta prove it's bringing, the property value down around other houses. And then they basically had to get an expert in there to appraise the property and the property around. And then I guess the only other thing that she kind of said that could be handled was, I forgot the citations, maybe $187. So each time we can bump it up $25 for each offense. But the last time he was in court, I think I gave him a citation back in September of last year or August. And he went to court, fought it, led to a deal, never paid the citation. So, I mean, it's definitely a tough property to work with and it's going to take a little bit of time. But
Yeah, just pay. Oh,
I'm sure that's what'll happen on Wednesday. So
we showed no effort at
he
all.
showed a little bit of improvement for, probably a week and a half. I tried working with him in phases of, hey, let's get this driveway cleared out. Got that cleared out, said, let's get the place in front of the camper cleaned out. Came up with that for about 2-3 days.
Build it back up.
Yeah, Phil, I'm done working with him. He did make progress and then he added some more stuff. Then I tried making another phase. I said, hey, don't worry about the camper now. Let's get the whole middle of your yard cleaned up. And now he's been a month. So he's
They document that.
yeah, that's all
Said that he
documented.
was going to.
Oh yeah, that's all documented. I got probably about a 4-page report written up to that, if he fights it for court. And
Well,
he added a lot this last time around, so that's what but he was avoiding me, so I told him to fix that. They're done working with
Well-
that track done.
court doesn't cut him a appeal. Oh,
Well, I would
but they bring
assume,
up, there's not a payment.
yeah,
on the-
yeah, so then Marshfield's rule, I don't know what it is here, but they won't trip their taxes or anything, their property taxes until they got citations worth of $2,500 or more. But the rate is going to be over that, so it's probably at 1,000 right now, or close to it. Well, over 1,000. So I guess we'll have to see on Wednesday what the judge says about the case.
And the ordinance has a unified structure for penalty.
Yeah, our ordinance basically says if he doesn't comply, that we can take care of the property and charge him for the service. But I think the village clerk, which maybe Sean can touch more on this, but she was worried, well, is that legal for you to get a warrant to pick up his property? And what's considered junk, you know what I mean? So in our eyes, all of the stuff in his yard is junk, but in his eyes, he thinks it's worth value, and he's got a $12 lawnmower that he thinks he can fix and sell for $80. So that's kind of the status on that property.
Thank you for that. Is there any flammables next to the building?
It's just, no, it's totes, it's,
No, I'm just, that one time we had an instance where fire department couldn't do nothing, but we turned it into the insurance company.
Yeah.
And because he had flammables next to the building,
uh-huh,
didn't comply with that safety,
oh, okay,
then the insurance company got a,
yeah.
they did have to clean up at least part of it, but again, that was that situation. I'm just bringing it.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough.
Of course, maybe we want the whole thing to burn down or be better off. I didn't say.
And do you want to talk about ATVs at all?
We're good.
Anything else? Thank you. President's comments, I have none at this time. Under new business, item A, discussion possible action on a request by Sue Johnson and Jeremiah and Anna Baselich to permanently restrict parking on the west side of North Hazel Street to East Main Street and East Clark Street.
For a number of years now, we've been temporarily restricting parking on that side of the street. I think that's worked fairly well for the years to make sure that we could get emergency vehicles.
Until the signs fall down.
Right, yep. The temporary works when it works, or when it's needed, but those signs are getting hard to maintain. Do you actually place the signs out yourself?
No, the
Police department does.
the last time,
Yeah.
and then Sean does too.
Sure.
I have to call Sean to tell him, like, when school is on, when spring comes in the ball time and, you know, they start playing ball, then I have to call Sean and tell him, you know,
Give him
oh,
a
by
heads
the
up.
way, they're
Sure.
playing ball up there, let's put the signs out. So they put the signs out.
Yep.
And then I have to call him after the season's over with.
Yep.
And then he takes them down again.
Yeah.
But sometimes they're just in my garage. Whatever. And then he says I was stealing them, and I'm like, I'm hoarding them, I'm not keeping them.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
And sometimes they do blow away, I imagine.
Yes, and they fall off the
Yeah.
sticks sometimes too, because they're only stapled on.
Because those are the last
Yeah.
posts that are just stuck in the ground.
Right.
What's the size of that street compared to the other Hazel?
So this would just be basically the one block between Main Street
Yeah.
and
350 feet.
A question though. Okay, North Haslett is what I live on.
Yep.
And then I go to the Ball Diamond, okay, and then East Main goes across.
Yep.
Now, does North Haslett go all the way down to the curve,
Yes.
down to the other Ball Diamond?
Yeah.
It does?
Oh, wait.
Does it go around? Does it go around
Say
the
that again?
curve and then go out?
That's what I turns.
Should have, we're talking me.
Then it turns out to what?
Turns in Elm Street.
Oh.
Elm Street? Okay, because I was just wondering, because when there's ball games going on and there's been summer things going on, whatever, and they're parking all the way down there too, and sometimes, and Susie would know this too, that they have ball games down at the other park too, down on the corner, and they're parking, you know, when the signs aren't up there, they're parking on both sides of the street. Now, my street isn't very wide, and how should I say this? But I come from a fireman family. I've got 3 generations. My dad was on the fire department here in Spencer, so was my brother, and so was my nephew. And it's in my blood. And if somebody needed an ambulance on that street with the cars parked there, that ambulance would never get through there. And now with that new fire truck with the ladder on it, or even the old one, it would never make it through there with cars parked. And these cars are bigger now, and these trucks are bigger in that. I witnessed just not too long ago when there was a ball game up there where somebody came off of Clark Street, pulled onto North Haslow, had to stop. And I'm like, what is it doing? It was waiting for a truck to come down from the ball diamond down. But then he stopped, pulled in my driveway, parked there until that car went through. But then he backed out into the street again after the car went through. It took him 3 times to get out of my parking or out of my driveway because cars were parked on both sides. And he had this big truck and that, and he wasn't going to hit the car on the other side of the street or whatever. So that's my, I just want to know if there's something that we can do, because I don't want anybody to get hurt. When they're up at the ball diamond, they're running to the car to get maybe a bottle of water or a umbrella or something or whatever, and they're not watching for traffic on the street, if there's cars parked on both sides and that. And I feel that something should be done. And Eric brought it up when he was putting signs up that day, that he says, I don't know why they just don't put a yellow strip there and just have it, no parking on that side of the street. And Sean has said that too, no parking on my side of the street because the mailboxes are on that side. And that would work better to have them. Then what they do then, when they can't park on my side of the street, they go on East Main and park on there. And they're parking on both sides of the street too. And sometimes I've talked to people on East Main, and they said too that they're parking in front of their driveways. And I don't know, and they're parking all the way down to the end down there where Ron Stelson lives and that. And then I don't know. I don't want anybody to get hurt. I don't want anything to happen. I don't want them to hit a car. I just don't want that to happen. And when you live on the corner, you see all this going on, and that. So something has to be done. It really does. And I'm not against them playing at the ball diamond. I love it when I can hear the kids playing and screaming and hollering. And my nephew played there. My great nephew played on the team up there too. And they were having fun. And that's, and if they want to do it in the summer, let them do it in the summer. But a lot of these cars don't park in that parking lot that's over there for the teachers, I can't see all of the parking spaces because the trees in the backyard of Bissonnettes, I can't see the whole parking lot, but I can see that some people park there. But they don't want to walk from that parking lot over to the ball diamond. They want to be right by the ball diamond, whatever, and that. So that's my spiel. I just don't want anybody to get hurt, but I don't want, if somebody needs an ambulance on that street and that, and Susie has witnessed when she was down at the ball diamond for the girls, that an ambulance had to be called because somebody ran into the home base and knocked out her front teeth. And if there was cars parked on the both sides, they would have never got through there.
Yeah.
Well, and because our sister lives on Main Street, minutes after that ambulance, she needed one, and again, they can't get through.
And like I said, with that new fire truck with the ladder and stuff and the fire equipment now, the ambulance, they carry more things now. They're bigger now and everything. It's impossible to get on my street when there's 2 cars parked on both sides of the street, or when the cars are parked on both sides of the street.
Yeah.
And that.
Oh, I get it. I think the way the agenda item was written, Sean was in favor, and if Sean would like to speak, he certainly can, of permanently closing or permanently having no parking on your side of the street. I talked to Jason at the school, and he was in favor of it as well.
Right.
The idea was that we would start at the curb line, or where the curb starts here on North LaSalle, just in the Main Street intersection, and then go all the way down through to Clark Street.
Now, you had mentioned that to me when we were on the phone that day, because nobody can park there, 365 days a year, because that's no parking on that side.
Correct.
But what about in the wintertime? When the snow gets piled up there, people aren't going to see that's yellow.
Well, we would actually put up signs as.
Oh, signs?
No
Oh,
parking
yeah.
between
Good.
us.
Because I was thinking of that, because Jeremiah mentioned that to me, the guy that lives next door to me.
Yep.
He said, would there be signs, for that and that?
We would put up a sign somewhere in this area that would say no parking from here to, you know,
Yeah.
here to the
On
curb.
the other side of Clark Street, we have no parking on the east side because of that reason, the size of the road. So,
Yeah.
but there are signs there, so yes, we would put signs up.
And I've lived in that house for 41 years and nobody's really, you know, I don't want to see anything to happen, but I just want everybody to be safe. That's all I want in that.
Chris, I don't think we need to take this to the street committee because we're all here.
Sure.
I would make a motion to permanently restrict parking on the west side of North Havel Street between East Main and East Clark Street.
I'll second that, and I got another idea. Like she was saying, why don't we just run it all the way down to the softball field?
So this is the only thing that I think
Yeah.
maybe is worth a little bit of discussion is the fact
Is
that.
it curb all the way down to the other wall diamond?
No. Stops at Main Street.
Back curb.
The only thing that jumps out at me is restricting it on the west side between Main and Clark, and then potentially restricting it maybe on the west side, going from Main Street up to Elm. I guess the issue there is,
West or east?
well, that's the question. Do you want them parking on the west side because it's closer to the ball field and then they don't have to cross the road?
No.
Or do you want them,
Just
Well,
run it all the way down.
Run it all the way down because,
All the way to Elm?
because it has more to do with foul balls and all the other crap that goes on.
Do you start flip flopping? If you come
No.
here,
well, and
that's,
that's what I mean to say is,
no, just run it on one
When
side.
cars are parked on the, okay, when cars are parked past my house and past the ball diamond, and then they're on that street, you know, before you get to the dome or whatever.
Yep.
And that, and when Keith Vanderputten was working, or when he was here, bless his soul, or whatever, and that somebody got a foul ball and broke their windshields. He got called and he said, well, who's gonna pay for this? And Keith told him, he said, well, he says, first of all, you're parked on a public road. And he said that he was going to sue the school because of that foul ball and that, and Keith goes, you're paying for your windshield, whatever. Because I mean, if you park there, it's your own fault.
Yeah.
You know, but balls went flying over the fence or whatever. I've had balls in my yard and I'm 2 houses away, whatever.
Mr. President, I want to amend the motion to go all
All the way to Elm.
of Haslow from Clark to Elm on the west side, no parking.
a second to that amendment,
I'll second the addition.
all in favor of that amendment, say aye.
All right.
Opposed? Okay, now we will vote to Phil's motion.
Make a motion to do the whole.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm just gonna pull that.
Just, we're just,
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Because I don't want anybody to.
not both sides, but just.
Just a.
Right.
So west side.
Yeah,
West side.
yeah, and I think that's what the.
The
motion got
amendment.
amended.
If somebody is too lazy to walk from the east side of that road to the west side of the road, they shouldn't be there.
What are they gonna do about Maine?
Yeah, East Main, what's gonna happen there?
Well, let's get the motion finalized.
Yeah.
It is,
Okay.
it's been done.
Look, we're gonna move on.
no, we gotta
We
vote
gotta
on his now.
You gotta vote
Oh,
on-
because you amended the.
Yeah, we gotta vote on the
Yeah,
amendment.
now I gotta vote on the motion.
Okay.
All in favor of Phil's motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Now, East Main.
Can
we do?
Who would have seconded Phil's motion?
I did.
You
Yeah,
did, you did initially.
And I'll let you know now to do that on East Main doesn't really work because the families that live on East Main have a lot of family, and when they have get-togethers, they park on the street. So when it's holidays or whatever, it's family parking, but they don't fill it up like it is on ball days.
Well, and that's, I mean, you can do as much as you like here. It may be appropriate to go to the street committee at some point.
That
depending
maybe,
on how
on
grand-
East Main, if they're parking in front of driveways,
That's
then you get to start ticketing people.
That's a ticket.
That's a ticket.
Yeah.
If you're stupid and you're blocking someone's driveway, that's a ticket.
But some of these people are from out of town and don't know
Well,
where these.
common sense. See
They
if
can
they're
feed the driveway.
Right.
parked in Culver, so you get involved.
Yeah.
driveways.
That's state law.
Yeah, it will be, and we can discuss that another time,
Yeah,
but basically, I think the summer baseball season is just about over.
I think so. I
So
think so.
it won't be an issue till then. Certainly we'll bring it up before then and
Okay.
we'll talk about East Main.
East Main, that's the street committee.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, folks.
Because we have high school and then you've got somehow. So, and then I think, you know, if people want to use those programs, they can, because like you said, that they're,
Alert the school
you
that we're
know,
doing.
first come, first served.
I'll talk to Jason. Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
but if
he
you're
was,
He was in.
favor of the shorter
I
segment.
know.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, maybe they want to make a walking path from the teachers and south parking lot to the ball field.
Put a sign that says additional parking and.
Somehow, some people don't know it's there.
So people,
Yeah.
they don't know it's out there.
Use it.
Additional parking back.
Encourage them to.
Parking we have at those two ball diamond,
Yeah,
and we're talking about street issues.
yeah, I know.
Oh, and there was another thing I was gonna ask you. I don't know if I.
Get out of the system, that's all.
Okay, you know, okay. Like I said, I only live like 2 blocks from, or 2 houses from the Ball Diamond. And I'm on, you know, I'm like a half a block from the school, or not, maybe a block or whatever. Okay, my street, you know, when the kids are going to school, when school's on it and that, they're using that street like as a raceway to go through there and that. And my nephew, my great nephew, Drake, he was one of them, but he graduated this year, so he won't be going this year. Thank God. And I talked to him about that, and I said, "Why are you doing that?" And he said, "He's trying to beat the buses because the buses go by there in the morning." And then I said, "I'm sure you're trying to beat the buses." I said, "You're probably trying to find the first parking space down at the other end." And then he said, "Well, somebody's got to get there." He goes, whatever. And I'm like, okay, is there a thing that we, signs that we could put up that is school zone? That's a school zone street?
So Clark Street is actually, it's marked as a school zone with a reduced speed limit during,
During school hours.
school hours, but Haslow is not.
It should be, because that's the main thoroughfare that the kids all take to get down to the parking lot.
To get to the parking lot, because, and the buses, you know, there's like, I don't know how many buses, like 3 or 4 buses, 4 or 5, yeah, 5 buses go by my house. They don't go by in the afternoon or at night. They go by in the morning.
You're saying we had a senior boy who really wanted to get to school?
Yeah, that's so, that's Drake. But he was just on a raceway. He's gone, whatever. and that.
Refer that to.
But she said, she put a stop to that. She's like, "You're not doing that," or whatever. Because Brad's gonna cut you. Brad's gonna find it. He's parked in my driveway.
Okay. Item B, discussion of possible action on removal of parking spots near the intersection of Highway 98 and West South Street. I already talked about it a little bit.
So at the street committee meeting, there was a recommendation made to remove 5, there are actually 4 stalls marked in yellow there on either side of LaSalle on Park Street. I believe Sean had talked to Dewey about it after the committee meeting, and I'm hoping that he's still on the Zoom meeting here. And
Yes.
perhaps willing to speak. Why don't you go ahead and talk about what you want to talk about, Sean?
I really didn't have much to add other than I was going to share my statistics and the accidents that we've had there. We're averaging 1, sometimes 2 a year for the last 10 years at least. On 1 year, we had as many as 3 there. I guess that's all I really had right now. I think to properly make that intersection more visible, you'd almost have to eliminate parking on all the way down the stretch to make it work perfectly. But with our businesses, I don't think that makes sense either. So, yeah, that's all I really had to add to it, unless anybody has any questions.
The couple scans I've got here are copies of a report that Sean gave me from a traffic study that was done in 2017. or 2018, end of 2017. The report came out in 2018. Basically, before the state was willing to look at a four-way stop there, they wanted to see at least 300 vehicles per hour on 98 and 200 vehicles per hour on LaSalle every hour for an 8-hour period.
Well, them were dumb numbers.
So in addition to that, they also needed to see a minimum of 5 crashables that would have been corrected by the all-way stop in any given 12-month period.
We're not like a big city. We're not gonna get that much traffic. Where do they get that number from?
Well, that's coming from their design criteria for those intersections. So if we look at the totals that were presented, we're at 200 to 300 vehicles per hour on 98 and right around 100 vehicles per hour on LaSalle during the time that they had the study up. It is possible that it will change when if and when Park Street is closed. But I would hazard a guess that it's not going to change that much throughout the entirety of the period. And we might get some blips in the morning and at night when Land O'Lakes has a shift change, but we're probably not going to see these numbers double throughout that entire 8-hour period.
Maybe on patrol like a.
You can drive through the intersection as many times as you want during the day. It's your fuel bill, your budget. But we did want to share these numbers with you just to show you what the state is looking at as far as the criteria for a four-way stop at that intersection. Given that that's not going to happen, then the question was, well, is restricting parking those 4 stalls actually going to solve the problem? And I think that with the conversation that Dewey and Sean had, no, it's not going to solve the problem.
No.
Would it help? Potentially, but if you can't see past these cars, you're not going to see past these cars when you pull up to this intersection.
So what is the brown again?
The brown is just where there is currently no parking due to
Okay.
either it's striped or it's too close to the
Okay.
intersection. Yeah. So then the yellow would be where we would do it.
I don't think there's any way you can eliminate those spots on the street unless we would have a piece of grosses and make that a city lot. Unless you could buy a little chunk of that parking lot and make that a city lot, then maybe. But without having additional parking for those businesses, and we have one across the street that's empty right now. If and when that ever becomes a live business again, where are those people gonna park?
Yeah.
So unless we have a village or a city lot, I don't see how you can eliminate those spots.
So we used to have a.
Yeah, we used to have one there. That was a lot of years ago. We got rid of it because the building was falling down on it. That's when we were afraid it was gonna fall over and kill somebody. Yeah,
Now Gross actually sold this to the apartment complex owners here. They have the intention of putting up garages for their apartment.
that's what I said. If we could have gross, I don't know what the feasibility of that becoming another car dealership is in the future. My gut says it's not very high.
It won't become a new car dealer.
Right? No, it could be used. It'll never be what it was, is my point. If we could have the village could get a hold of everything from that natural spot is over and you made that a city lot, then you could eliminate those spots.
Well, I guess that would be me asking the question, would that be the intention to buy that lot so that we could eliminate parking on the street?
That would fix our problem.
Would that fix Dewey's problem?
Sure, if you had that whole lot where people could park, where you're not eliminating parking spaces.
But again, you've got that.
No, you got to come across the street now, but
That's just like the ball diamond. People don't want to take an extra.
I understand that, but at some point, there's got to be a happy medium here somewhere.
Turns big. So
There's got to be a middle ground that we can.
Is there restricted parking in the post office lot?
They
No.
don't, they don't allow, parking in there after hours.
People still do it.
They do it, but they've come
They've
into
been
our
getting-
office to complain about
They're all,
it. After post office hours, they don't want any,
You're not supposed to be parking there.
It's
they would, yeah, they cite vandalism as being the biggest thing.
What I'm hearing and taking away those lots is not an issue we want to take up at this time.
Well, no, because you can take out one on each side if you want, but it's not gonna take care of the problem.
Fix
I
the
mean, it's gonna put a little Band-Aid on it, but you still cannot see down the street. I went out and physically walked it, looked at it the other day again. Been looking at that intersection for 50 years already. But, I know there's the safety issue. Everybody is worried about, say that's a big word. They have to take the business owner's side on that. I'm not in favor of taking anything. And I think we leave it as it is. We'll see what happens with closures, how much it's going to increase problems. We've lived with that intersection as it is longer than Cal. He's old.
I just have a,
So I think we leave it alone.
I just have a comment on a couple of the crashes. I guess our last two crashes in the last 2 or 3 months, the last crash is because the person completely did not stop at the stop sign. They just kept going and tried to slow down. And the last crash I had there, he said he looked, said the sun was in his eye because it was setting around the west and it was
Doesn't have
winding.
anything to do with the car.
So just the crashes I've experienced haven't been much from, well, I couldn't see because there was cars there. Just from
Yeah.
my experience.
All I'm saying is, normally when we have one there, it can be a good one as far as accidents or maybe injury.
That's,
There's darn few of them. There's a lot of near misses. You can't count them.
Shouldn't be, even if we do have accidents, I mean, not that any of the accident's not severe, but, you know, it's a 25-mile zone there. They're not moving.
Well, yeah, I don't know, but,
You can still get, I mean, you can still get some damage done, but
right, but they aren't going 25.
that's the
The
problem.
issue.
they're at that intersection.
Roll.
It's hard to
You got T-bone that bad, roll.
Yeah, no,
And then
have we attempted any lobbying efforts for the censored lights that was brought up? Or is it just no means no, or could we do some lobbying?
Backed up, you know, with,
yeah,
With some
you
people?
know.
We could always try. I guess the point of sharing the report was that we're far from the DOT's minimum requirements for signals. But sure, we could always reach out to,
Thinking on like, Old Colby with their stop and go lights by the school, they must reach these numbers, the threshold.
oh yeah, for sure on Highway 13.
Any other discussion?
And I-
Ready to motion?
not saying that we just ignore it. We need to do more work, study, lobbying, whatever.
DOT is willing to do another traffic study there when Park Street has been changed. They don't think there's any value to do it before Park Street is changed.
Sure.
On the white building.
But once it is changed, then they said they'll. If there's no intention to follow the street committee's recommendation, then we don't need a motion.
Okay. Item C. Discussion possible action on a proposal by Frank Olden, purchase lot number 2, SM, in the business park.
Yeah, Frank already has first right of refusal on this lot. It's in between Mid-Wisconsin and his property. He would like to pull the trigger and buy it now. one thing that's concerned him is with the apartment complex going up across the street from him. He would like to put a fence around his property, just to have a little bit of extra protection there, with the apartment complex going up across the street. He would like to be able to fence the entire property in one go instead of having to put a fence in the middle and then have to take it down and then put up more fence at some point in the future. The standard that the village set for assessed value on the lots out in the industrial park was $250,000 per acre. Frank originally bought 4 acres here with the option to buy the other 2. With the addition of the new building that he's putting up on this property, his assessed value will reach $1.5 million, which would equal the $250,000 requirement on a total of 6 acres. So Frank would like to be able to buy the property without a solid commitment to build by a certain date, because he feels he's already met the minimum assessed value for those properties. He does intend to build. He wants to add on to his building here. That's the second phase of his project, which would obviously reduce the yard space that he has. So he would incorporate yard space into the second lot. And then at some point, he wants to double his footprint again and put up another building down here on that lot, with the potential for another shed on the west side of that lot, similar to what he's got up here. So that's up to you guys.
Only question I have is with him, with all this improvement, are we still okay with our water abatement, or, so we're not gonna get in trouble for having too much non-permeable surfaces?
That's the way you're talking.
Yep, so that's on, that's an item that will come up later. But yes, the original design for this lot did include a substantial portion of non-permeable surface.
Okay.
There are also some identified wetlands that are there in the center of the lot here, and then along the roadway. I've shared that with Frank. He's aware of it, as is his engineer at Vreeland Associates. They will probably have to refigure some things just to make sure that if they have to move that building because of the wetlands cited here, or do something different,
Just wanna make sure we're
yeah, we have
enough
we have communicated that to Frank.
to make sure we don't get in trouble with the water.
Yeah.
No, we should be covered.
Should be, but
Well, no, that's what besides that.
It will be up to him to figure out how to deal with the wetlands. Between him and his engineer, they'll have to come up with a design that will satisfy the DNR on that.
I see no problem with it. So you're looking for actions? Yep. Move. I think you. Move. Is there a second?
well, then,
All in favor of this proposal, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Now we get to the big bucks. Discussion and possible action on the purchase of the new police squad from Ewald Automotive for $52,493.50.
This is not on the voucher list, but
This is the one we approved.
yes. So what's going to happen is when Sean goes to pick up the squad, he needs to bring a check with him. And he's not sure exactly when the date will be, but it will likely be before our next board meeting. So he wanted this purchase approved by the board at this time so that we could prepay, we could cut the check whenever the squad is delivered. And then he could take it up to.
So what happened to the discussion of buying 6 electric bikes?
I do not remember that discussion.
Horses.
now we're going back to Bill's days.
No, I had horses.
As long as this is the one we approved.
This was the dollar amount that was approved by the board.
No action needed.
No, we would like to see
I'll
it.
make a motion to approve the purchase of the new police squad for $52,492.50.
Second.
All in favor, say, oh, sorry. Roll call.
Yeah, we'll get a roll call on this. Brophy,
Yes.
Jazinski.
Yes.
Bose. Baker.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Tolkien.
Yes. Item E, discussion possible action, a policy to cost share stormwater drainage improvement projects with village property owners.
I was not able to get this completed. I have what I drafted up in the packet, but I didn't get it done yet.
Is this mainly for,
This was for,
complex?
yeah, Dave.
Dave.
Butler. Yep, so, Dave actually came to me, last week and is a little bit hesitant now. The cost of the project is scaring him a little bit.
Yeah.
Talked to him.
Yeah, he comes over and talks to me all the time, unfortunately.
Yeah.
He's always, I'm like, Dave, you gotta bring this to me. Just so you're
Well, he
telling
came
me.
in and he talked to me. We had a good conversation about it. And then after the fact, his neighbors actually came in and said, well, if Dave doesn't do this, is there the opportunity for us to still do something? So I want to say that this project still could happen on a reduced scale.
Okay.
So my intention is to finish the policy up and then have those conversations with the homeowners and that they want to
So you're
do.
looking to table this till next meeting?
Yeah, this will just get taken.
Okay.
Okay, item F. Discussion possible action on a police department request to allow the use of golf carts on Highway 98, West Clark Street and County Highway C, East Clark Street.
So Sean,
Well, can I interrupt here?
you can go for
Yeah,
it.
I didn't realize this was going to be on the agenda tonight. There might be state law conflict that would not allow an ordinance like this, and I would like to look at that when we get back and make sure that we don't conflict with state statute.
Cause on Highway 98, I think that already is a UTV. It
So
is.
the issue was that the changes that we made to the UTV ordinance allowing for traffic to go on 98 and on C.
Mhm.
That original prohibition was mirrored in the golf cart ordinance, because those are two separate ordinances.
Right.
They're close to each other, but they're not exactly the same. So when we changed the UTV one, we did not change the golf cart one. We are seeing golf carts on 98.
Yep.
And
With lights, taillights and.
in order to be licensed in the village, and I don't know how many carts Sean has.
Yeah, there's.
Well, I meant, that's what we were talking about.
Yeah, that's in this ordinance as well.
People I said have lights.
But yeah,
Well,
if,
they make them nice. Hey,
Right, but
Oh, yeah.
I don't see much difference in them.
Well, for this particular agenda item, the state doesn't recognize a golf cart to be like a UTV, and I just want to make sure that we're not conflicting with state law before we pass this.
So are we looking to, come up on the table this, Sean?
Yes.
I think my go-kart did some of that description.
Or it's on blocks?
Put some lights on and go there.
There you go.
Okay,
I was gonna mention, while I was looking up the rules on the ATVs and the golf carts, I noticed that in the ATV section, when general code put our new laws into our code book, they added section 1 here, but did not remove section 2. So section 2 originally prohibited UTVs on County Highway C and on County Highway 13 and 98. We wrote a new ordinance to amend this code, allowing for traffic to be on Highway C and on Highway 98. So
Two needs to come out.
2 needs to come out. So
It's already superseded by 1.
yeah, I just wanted to bring this to your attention. At the next board meeting, I'll have, hopefully we'll have this addressed. I don't think we have to pass anything different because we already passed the code. This is just a correction that needs to be made.
Bookkeeping.
Yeah.
okay, item G, discussion and possible action on ordinance 198, open burning.
We had a fire commission meeting last week, and Fire Chief Troy, talked a little bit about burning permits out in the townships. Open burning is actually prohibited in the village. It's not allowed, but he did reiterate to the townships that there is a policy for them to follow. They can call the county sheriff's department, they can call him and leave a message at the firehouse if they want to do an open burning activity out there. And he does not actually require a physical permit to be issued as long as they're in communication with either the county or the fire.
And the county will follow the DNR burning issues. So if the DNR issues a
Burning ban?
burning ban, the county will follow that.
Yeah, so, there was an issue of the townships not being certain when permits were required, who issued the permits, if it was the chairmans of the town boards or if it was Troy. So they just clarified that. I did want to mention that in our ordinance, we actually reference same rules as far as the state rules on open burning. But we do permit anything smaller than that threshold, that 4x4x4 feet, that does not apply to the burning prohibition as far as open burning. So we have always allowed for campfires in the village. Troy has what is amounted to an unofficial rule of anything less than 36 inches in diameter as far as a campfire goes. He says that's fine in the village without a permit. So at some point, we might want to look at addressing our ordinance and actually putting in that 36 inches rather than referencing that 3x3x3, because that's a little bit bigger than the 36 inches that we currently follow. But it was good to know that they're getting, everybody's on the same page as far as the township is concerned.
That was the biggest.
Okay, we don't need any action though.
No.
Okay. No, but the reason I asked to have it on here is now it's part of the minutes, which will be read. So that, I mean, it'll be in the paper so that people do know that all the townships in the village are working on the same. Good. Anything else? Okay, item H, discussion possible action to award a contract for the shooting range.
So bids were due last Friday, and I didn't get this email until Sunday, but we got some favorable bids. The lowest bid was Fellons Excavating out of Thorpe at $155,682.40. Earth was the highest bid at $193 for $12.16. And then TDR Underground is actually the company that's doing the raising of our well house number 3 project. So they had saw this and bid on it as well. They were in the middle at $173,632.60. I called up Fellons and talked to Adam there. He understands the scope of the project. They have the equipment to do it. They listed a number of references, of which I only called one. The other 2 references they used was in A&Ws that they have built or that they've done excavation work for. Not exactly the same kind of thing. The other one that I did call was Myers Dairy north of Loyal. Fellons actually did their 1 million gallon manure storage lagoon, which was very similar to the work that's being done for the gun range. It's all basically just earthwork. In the biggest coincidence of the day, for sure, Myers had actually heard from Loyal that they were lacking a place to shoot. They incorporated a gun range on the backside of this manure pit. So Fellons actually did the berm work for the gun range. The Loyal Fire Department did the concrete work, either their own or volunteer or whatever. But I thought that was a heck of a coincidence that Myers told me that they have the city's gun range behind their 1 million gallon manure pit that Fellons built for them. So I thought that was, they did not realize that they were doing it at the time, but they ended up with so much, fill left over. And Mike, is obviously very, very supportive of what's going on in Loyal. So yeah, he's like, you guys can shoot out. So I thought that was just a heck of a coincidence. 155 is within our budget. We have about $168,000 left. That's mostly grant money coming from the DNR. So this was good to see.
That leaves a little bit of extra for signage and gates.
Yeah, yep. And the 155 does include both alternate items, which was the concrete work and the carpentry to put the awnings.
Put the canopy up.
You know, so at this price, we had included those as alternates so that if the price was a little bit too high and we needed to take something out, we could do that. Perhaps get volunteer work to come in and do the concrete and carpentry. At this price, if you guys wanted to include the alternates, you know, that could make sense. Felons is their excavation and concrete work. You know, they do foundations for businesses.
Is this, were we cutting back all the trees with this, or is that separate?
No.
We discussed we were gonna cut back all the tree line on the property.
Yeah, that would not be.
So that'd be volunteers we have to find for that.
Yeah.
Okay. For sure we can find some.
Yeah.
Chainsaws and.
This is the same.
Why are you
fellow?
looking at me?
I'll bring the brush cutter.
The highest interaction we've ever had on Facebook.
He tried decapitating.
Is the work that the
Like
three of you
5
guys
minutes
did.
in. Branch comes back me in the back.
Okay, I'll need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the gun range contract to Bell's Excavating C for $155,682.40. Second.
Roll call.
Brophy,
Yes.
Kaczynski,
Yes.
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Topher.
Yes. How much was it for?
155.
155,682. 46.
Okay, moving on to item I. Discussion of possible action on temporary Class D beer license for the Spencer Chamber of Commerce Music in the Park event on 8/6, 13, 20, and 27.
Yep, so we're doing the event at the end of July, I'm sorry, as the village. The chamber puts on, they host the event for August. They just do the beer sales. There are other organizations that take responsibility for the food. But the chamber gets the beer license.
So moved. Second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Item J, discussion possible action on temporary Class D beer license for the American Legion Post 298 to serve at the Lucille Tech Center's Brigade Band event on 7/27.
Yeah, that's just like as it's read. They're always volunteered to do that for the tech center. Food and the Legion is doing both the food and
Where are they held?
At the band stage.
right out here. With the, well, I don't know if the shelter's actually a viable backup in case it rain, in case of.
I don't think it's good. I hope not.
Yeah.
Make a motion to approve.
Your second,
Second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Got the abstain?
Yep.
Item K, discussion possible action on an operator's license for Chris Higglestead.
I actually took the bartender's class. Just because I thought it would be helpful.
It's a good drink, or you gotta work for an hour.
So there are some kind of complicated rules about temporary licenses and how many temporary licenses you're allowed each year. And because the chamber event spans a whole month, an operator is only allowed to have a license for 14 days, a temporary operator's license. And in order to get the redundancy, I thought, well, I'm just going to go and get the license. So that's what I did. I was actually very glad to have taken the class because there were a couple things that I did kind of kind of open.
You know how to put the foam on the head then?
That part, there was no hands-on training. This was all on the internet.
Sure. You're there anyway.
And I want to be there anyway.
Background check him.
Sean did.
Yeah. Sean,
I recommend to approve.
Even better. Okay, need a motion on this?
Yep.
I'll move.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item L, discussion and possible action on temporary operator's license for Linda Henderson, Deb Schaefer, and Jeremy Crowley.
Recommend to approve.
and these are for those two
Yep.
temporary.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Same.
Motion carried. Okay, here we get to our guest speaker now. Discussion and possible action on Ellis Stone Construction's pay application number 7 for the well number 7 wastewater water treatment plant, number 2 project for $593,167.89.
Yeah, I can speak on it. Basically what you're paying for in this one is, I don't think it's quite all the masonry walls. And then basically delivery of the filter equipment, some of the miscellaneous parts. So this, you don't actually see the full filter in all the walls. That'll come on the next one, but this is basically just making the contractor whole for making the purchase, essentially.
And this will be covered by the clean or the Safe Drinking Water Fund loan, which has already been approved by the DNRs. We'll get that money back on July 23rd.
Motion to approve pay application number 7 for well number 7.
Second.
Yep.
Okay. Second. I will, nobody else.
Seconds.
Roll call, sorry. Spain's not there.
Ralphie,
Yes.
Bose,
Yes.
Jazinski, Kraus,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Tofa.
Yes. Motion carried. Item N, discussion possible action on Split Lake and Sons change order number 3 for the Park Street project for an increase of the contract price of $12,696. Okay.
And no sense.
This is just for the guardrail that was added at Land O'Lakes and then down by the drainage ditch there. We didn't have that as a bid item originally, so this was just an additional item that we added on after the project bid.
Any questions? Need a motion?
Move to approve. Second.
Roll call.
Ralphie,
Yes.
Bose, no, Jazinski.
Yes.
Kraus,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Tofa.
Yes. Item O, discussion possible action on Split Lake and Sons final change order number 4 for the Park Street project for a decrease of the contract price of $235,582.47.
So this is just required by DNR, the funding source. Basically, we have to just at the end of the contract, we have to even up what the bid quantities were with what the final quantities were. So the big decrease here is we had a lot of items in supplemental, like they ran into any soft spots, anything like that, where they needed to add fill or something like that. Luckily, we didn't run into as much as we initially anticipated, so we've got a net decrease on this one.
So we borrowed the money based on our bid.
Yes. Yep.
So what happens in that loan? We reduced the loan by that much?
No, we don't. And part of this will be the difference of the clean water fund loan too. So that one won't be affected because we won't be asking for reimbursement for the money for that. But yeah, the other loan that we took out enough money to cover the cost. the original cost. So we can talk about, what we might want to do with that difference later.
Oh, I see, a street coming up.
Even chip seal in the future.
We need a motion for this?
Motion to approve change order number 4, Park Street for the reduction of $235,582.47.
Your second?
I move.
Roll call.
This is the reduction we've actually done.
No roll call needed. All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Item P. Discussion of possible action on Flitwick and Sons final pay application number 6 for the Park Street project of $329,281.87.
This is just paying for the surface paving they did this year and then releasing any retainments that was left on the project. Yeah, they've completed all the punch lists. Dave with the DNR did a walkthrough with Mark like a month ago now. Everything seemed satisfactory for them, so they poured a couple pieces of concrete last week, which was the last thing they had hanging out there, and so pay him, and basically we just have a couple more pieces of paper to sign, and the project will be complete.
Questions? Motion?
Motion to pay for pay application for Fund 6, final pay application for Flitwick and Sons for $329,281.87.
For a second?
Yep.
Yeah.
Roll call on this.
Ralphie,
Yes.
Bowles,
Yes.
Zinsky,
Yes.
Rouse,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Tofu.
Yes. And that brings us to discussion and action on the approval of clerk vouchers.
Green engineering sales.
Yeah,
Is that one you're?
that was the one I asked about. I didn't know what it was.
There are a few highlighted items that were in the packet that Deb shared with you on Friday. Got added at the last minute here. Couple little invoices. She forgot about petty cash. We almost were out of petty cash. And Spectrum Insurance bills came due. I think that was it.
So that well number 1 pump cleaning, that was what we did earlier in the spring.
We did it in March, actually, and the invoice got lost in the mail. It wasn't for it, not really. We got a call last week or the week before.
Oh,
They said, hey, you forgot to pay
I
that.
didn't think we did it twice. So.
No, we did not. Yep. Yeah, CTW for $20,000.
So what's backflow preventer inspection?
So we have backflow preventer devices that are installed at the wastewater plant shop.
So it's our,
Those are our devices. It's just part of our plumbing, same as Louis
so
has it.
how often is that inspection gotta be done?
Once a year.
Every year?
Every year, yep, required by Department of Commerce, Department of Safety Professionals.
Are these permanent type items?
They have wear parts, and occasionally Suda will rebuild one for us that's failed. Because they get air hammer like anything else in the plumbing, so eventually the gaskets or the springs will fail, and Suda can replace it and rebuild them.
Okay,
But it is a requirement, and we actually got called by the state when they were inspected last year, and Suda forgot to send in the certification. So the state was right on top of it. They wanted to know where our inspection records.
no minnows this month?
No, they're on there.
Yeah, a lot of minutes.
Just swim. Oh, there they are. Swimming.
$640.
You gotta go put your traps out by the outflow, you catch them and take them back inside.
Oh, if they make it to the outflow. More power to you.
I can't.
2 gallons in each of them.
So I see we
can't.
we paid for the lift station thing is done. Is there any other lift stations we're gonna have to upgrade?
No, right now we think we're pretty good. With well number 7 going online, there's the chance that Madison, which is downstream from the new well, might have to have some work done. We'll have to see how well it handles the flows that it gives well. Other than that, Peach Street is our oldest lift station, still has 1 single pump in it. It only services the 12 or 14 houses that are on Peach Street. So we've talked about adding a second pump to that. We have a second pump on the shelf that we can put in the pit if we need to, but that would probably be the only one besides Madison that would really need it.
Any other questions? Entertain a motion to approve?
Second.
Roll call.
Brophy,
Yes.
Folds, Kaczynski,
Yes.
Strauss,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Stopa.
Yes.
Let's see.
And that brings us to number 14, clerk's report.
Don't have a lot on my report, a decent number of building permits we got.
That last building permit.
That last building permit makes up for the few sheds that preceded it. Swiderski's building permit that they paid $40 for. Their $6 million apartment complex. Got us $40 for the permit. Deb wanted me to highlight a few things from Spencerama. If I could, I didn't go with this through her notes before I left this afternoon. Spencerama is currently about $800 short from income over expenses. It was a tough year this year with Friday being so cold and rainy. And although we had great attendance, I think on Saturday and Sunday, we didn't really make up for the loss that we had on Friday. That does include $1,500 that Deb thought was appropriate for the Spencerama Fund to share with the village on improvements that were made to the electrical system in the park. So Quality Electric relocated the panel that was on the end of the tennis courts over to the Lion Shelter so that all of the food trucks could be sited on the asphalt instead of in the grass. That was $2,500. And Deb thought $1,500 was fair for the Spencerama to pay for that share. If we had made a bigger profit, maybe we could have afforded to pay for all of it. She didn't want to put us in the hole terribly for the year. And there was money in the Parks Department to cover the difference. I think that worked out really well, having the food court or the food trucks on the asphalt, having everything.
Same spot.
Everything for the band, our tent and the beer tent was on the asphalt. So there wasn't anybody standing in wet grass this year. We're trying to sit on chairs that were sinking down into the sides. Yeah, otherwise, she did want to remind everyone about the Brigade Band event on Sunday, July 27th. The special music in the park that we're going to have on July 30th, which will kick off the new fundraising for the second stage of the band shelter, which will be the awning that will go out this way in front of the stage, and then also the bathrooms behind the stage. We'll have 50-50 baskets. We've got a whole big pile of raffle baskets to raffle off. Tom's cooking pulled pork, and Deb is making a lot of desserts. So if you have any other questions about Spencerama, she'd be the one to ask. North LaSalle, from Bear Creek Canvas, that was paved and shouldered. That looks pretty good up there. I think Gorst, the Enterprise is happy with that road behind their building up there. And they did, pay us for the amount of road that they damaged when they, had their utilities installed. That was like $1,500, that Gorst, will pay to cover that part of the repair. They worked on fixing that water leak on Cedar Street today. They did find the gasket that was leaking, so that was really good. It wasn't an actual break, it was just a leaky gasket it fitted. Something that I would like to recommend to go to committee would be a request from Casey Kraus to consider if the village is willing to help out at all with the development costs of Eagles Landing. He was at the open house or the groundbreaking ceremony for the apartment complex and talked a little bit about how tough it is for him to compete against the Grepner subdivision. And so thought that maybe he could come to the board and have a conversation about that. So if one of the committees would like to pick that up, that might be appropriate. Same guy, different business, made Wisconsin Concrete, also has to address some stormwater issues in the build out of their parking lot. They've exceeded the original design capacity of our stormwater system. And so they are going to have to do something there where the DNR is going to get on them as far as the runoff that's coming off of their impermeable surface. So this should also be referred to the committee. Max has been working with Real and Associates to come up with a design that will, they'll probably end up building something that will work with our system to cover the difference between what they need to treat coming off of that parking lot. Power and gas at well number 3 has been disconnected and is scheduled for demolition this week. I don't think they were here today, but I might expect to see them there tomorrow. And then just a note that the well 7 water treatment plant 2 project is moving on schedule. The filter that was placed is actually here about a week in advance of the original schedule. So we are still on schedule as far as that project is concerned.
Any questions for Chris? And then we'll move on to committee reports. Finance and personnel.
Just for Chris, get done taking notes now.
Yep.
I would like to have a meeting with Public Works sometime next month. I want you to look at who's got applications, what, if you got any, whatever, we can have a majority of the group there.
For
And-
August, you're talking about.
August, right. And basically to see how summer projects, how things are going, more or less for communications with you guys.
Sure.
We do that on a annual basis. We've been doing it late summer.
Yep.
So just see what works for everybody's, so that they aren't on vacation after meetings.
Yeah.
Okay.
But still sometime in the evening. Yeah. They're invited to come. It'll,
Yeah. Everybody, just a communication thing. And the other thing I'd like to compliment Harry and Jeremy and Chris representing us at the Sikorsky digging opening. I think you guys did a really formidable job representing the village. Presented everything. I think you did a really good job.
Thank you.
All three of you.
Even though I didn't win the basket, Chris.
We had 3 chances.
So
Yeah.
you had a lot of chances. I did re-gift that to the band stage.
Now we'll make the laws.
If you
I
wonder
felt
what
guilty about winning
The
time.
thing had come back.
I can read
you
it.
wonder what we're talking about, they had to go like 3 tickets before we found a winner of the basket.
Both baskets.
Well, I
Both
think,
baskets,
I think it was because the Swiderski people weren't even looking at their
They-
tickets. They didn't want to
They
win.
Put theirs in the pocket.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Bill.
You're welcome.
Do you, so for the two items that I would say are good candidates to go to committee, do you wanna, does finance wanna take the first one about,
Oh, no.
I don't, you know,
You do
Yeah,
this in a meeting.
I would prefer to talk to the one with PSC on, his development.
and that's what I meant.
Yeah, our committee will take that.
It might be nice to separate the two issues, and not try to lump them together.
I would prefer that one.
Yep.
And the other one, I totally understand it.
Do you have a time when you would wanna meet?
Whatever works out here, it's fine.
Okay. Maybe I'll talk to him first then.
Mhm.
I can,
That's all I got.
Thanks, Bill. Utilities and equipment, Tom is not here. Parks and buildings.
Meeting tomorrow, 6:30.
Yeah, I'd like to say thank you to that committee also. Went out and cleaned up that project in our stream going to the east there. You guys did a really good job. Apologize for not being there, but one-handed guy, I don't help very much.
Well, you could have been the guy yelling at Pat to watch out for his head.
I do that anyway.
Thanks for covering.
No, everybody was out there.
Only come on with a couple scars.
yeah. I think it was a great day. We were only there for 2.5 hours. It was good.
We beat that one out good.
More people, would have just gotten away and enjoyed it. So it was good.
Chris and I trespassed on your neighbors to get that for you.
I got permission from Lynn
Oh, no.
retroactively. She said it was okay.
Okay, health and emergency government,
No report.
economic development, Main Street.
No report at this time, but I would like to look at maybe at the municipal parking lot again. See if that's an option in the future to get some parking downtown. Because that's nothing but kill us as we move forward with our downtown area.
You want to schedule something? You want me to talk to Gross first?
Let's talk to
I
Gross
mean,
first.
you're
No, let's-
just focusing on Gross's.
Yeah, well, that's the, let's see what we could do for that lot. If we get part of it. 'Cause like I said, I don't think it'll ever be what it was again. It'd be a great spot for community parking.
For those who don't want to walk across the street, we could build a bridge.
A big sign that says walk your ass across the street.
We're not the clinic.
Ask out to.
Well, then we could put a stop and go light.
I'll reach
Yeah.
I'll reach out to
Just let me know. We'll figure something.
The streets and sidewalks, Al? Sorry.
No, we
Well, actually, streets and
Got a
sidewalks,
shuttle
that
bus
might
there,
be
said he
the
would drive.
committee to deal with stormwater issues for the Wisconsin. Usually,
Go across.
that's usually what we cover. for
We've been putting
streets.
sidewalks on streets.
Yeah, well-
Agenda.
You can come take the one in front of my house. We'll move it wherever you want.
No, it's not.
The next
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
We gotta do a new
What
one.
do I have? Yeah.
really does.
Wow,
I'm vague. Yeah.
Yeah.
doing all this, for then we should have rules.
I'll reach out
Yeah,
to,
that's fine.
I'll reach out to Casey also for that meeting.
And last but not least, fire and ambulance. We should,
I just put that on there this time in case you wanted it.
well, we brought up the fire thing, or the burning permit,
When's our next meeting?
Miles.
They talked to us, Troy specifically brought up fireworks,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It is permissible to have fireworks in the townships if they're licensed by the state and you get a permit by the municipality. And there are a number of entities out in the townships that do that. And Troy's perfectly fine with that as long as the municipalities are issuing those permits. Fireworks are not permitted in the village of Spencer. They, we have an ordinance against fireworks, so we don't issue permits for fireworks.
So what happens to people who shoot them off?
There, we don't permit fireworks in the village of Spencer.
We'll leave it at that. Then the UTV got replaced. The other one was 20 years old.
Oh, that.
This is a tracked unit.
This is a track unit.
Yeah, bigger.
It's already been out twice.
Yep, they said it's working out really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that they did. And so the next big maintenance issue at the firehouse will be actually the parking lot. That's gonna tie into our Willow Street project.
year.
Yeah. And so Billy's working through that bidding process. But again, that's the big, there's a smaller maintenance like carpet replacement and some painting. They're not worth mentioning, but the parking lot's gonna be a big deal.
Should be anything to do much else.
I'd like to thank you guys for your input, and I'll make a motion to adjourn.
So I can.
All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
You betcha.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
And I want to thank you guys for listening to me and for approving that. Project.
Thank you. Everybody, thank you for coming.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
We don't see you for months on end and then it's.
And I pop up, don't I? I just go right up, don't I?
I just approve it. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Whatever.
I didn't bring the equipment.
You know, I like that. The next thing about this. What are we gonna do? He says, I'm really. I said, Richard, yeah. My everybody. You got it better.
That's here.
Yeah, there you go.
Two spots on that side. Two spots here. That was a nice street.
Yeah.
Thank you so.
It's not even yellow by our work.
Yeah.
I was gonna put a kayak.
Just leave, leave the slot there. Additional angle, like 2 or 3 quads. Let's be honest. So there's days when more quads are left. If you put a quad in angle, you could get
Land as far as the
60 quads in
because
2 spots.
that didn't.
You gotta get
Something's
3
because they didn't put a drainage in like
That's
where
what
the
you
street
put,
was, where that ever went through.
Yeah.
There was a drainage hole there with,
I just trying to figure out how we can
Right on.
get more.
yeah,
I'm just saying.
but it's not.
Over here is our only one. We have
That's
this,
the issue, it's not where what sits, so.
we have parking lot.
Oh, we got it. We'll look at it. Is that the one that's on there? Or that's-
One is across the street, floor right next door to me. Or,
You're different.
Yeah.
One further. 2 lots west.
You can- I was thinking-
You're
I was thinking- It'll never be.
Yeah, the problem is.
You'll never.
Water from people's lands was,
Even if it's a used car, they never even use that space.
You're right.
Let me show you.
This house is.
Nobody will see. This
it's a separate.
Yeah, here's the stuff. I talked to, one of your neighbors on, Washington Street.
I was trying to get it close.
She has the same issue.
Yeah. That's what I said. If we can get a hold, I don't care how we do it.
Well, I will get this.
We just need something that's. Yeah, so.
So I guess what?
You gotta
Just gotta get some. We sold another chunk.
That's
It's all
all.
good.
They're working on it. Yeah. And I complained about it twice.
Yeah, well, I can't promise you, but something, because a lot of that, I think all of it is.
More use, more values.
It's still for, What I've done is working on that policy.
Those steps and go more.
Basically, I've seen how many issues.
Chris, did you stop your video?
Sections.
ICA, that's where all the.
I was thinking CA for what?
Down.
If it is.
If nobody's around, start going around.